Sorry, Scott, the mic wasn't plugged in.
That's lastname.com for the domain.
Yep. I have 5 virtual machines, a NAT, a DC. So far the NAT is completely configured. I'm promoting the DC. The next thing I need to do is configure the iSCSI target server and the 2 failover cluster members. So right now I'm on the DC.
Right. I'm having an issue with my network adapter.
You'll find out they connect you to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Guys,
Oh yeah, there's quizzes to take for this, right? Yep. Yeah, they're all due in a month.
yeah, guys, all your quizzes are open. They're due in a month.
They're all due in 1 month.
Okay, all your quizzes are open. They're due in a month. Your syllabus is out there. Everything's ready with the show, so you're good to go with that. In 2 weeks.
Midterm in 2 weeks?
That's what he said.
6 weeks.
Yeah, this is a really quick class.
Yeah, that'll be like.
Well, they're only like a month long, really. And we only meet twice a week. Summer courses are so fun. And then as a birthday gift, I have a final right before my birthday.
When's your birthday?
August 7th, the day before we.
I think the grades are due on the 9th, or the last day of class is on the 9th.
On the schedule it said August.
Yeah, well, because this is a, the 9th is a Monday, so this is a Tuesday, Thursday class, so
Yeah.
you know. Guys, chapter 5 is joining a Linux box to a Windows domain.
You gonna try it?
I'm sorry?
You gonna try it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have ISOs for Linux?
They're on the app drive.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try it.
I'll ask Ken a question.
What kind of Linux server?
CentOS.
I mean, what's running on it?
Whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's just you're joining the OS so you can sign in with Linux. You can use Windows user accounts on your Linux box.
Isn't that right?
And we're going to create we've created a lot of network shares that Windows clients can connect to, but now we're going to create a Unix share on a Windows server.
Brian, I'm still having issues with same thing.
When you created your switches, did you go to each virtual machine and fix it?
And you also got to install
I rebooted them.
DNS.
This one here? Long day.
I made sure to make. I had one before
This DC is taking forever.
So on the DC,
I want to pause this.
it's done. 192 died.
Yeah, 10.
Oh. Okay.
You don't have to fill out all of it.
I just think it would create like a huge bottleneck or something because that many.
No, it's the same server, whether it's serving it from 3 different areas of a database or 1, it doesn't really matter.
I get it.
Did you already join everyone to the domain? Because you logged in as the wrong thing.
Make sure
It's like,
you
it has to be your last name / admin.
make sure you sign in to the domain, not your local admin.
Oh, yeah, right now you're local.
Let's see if DC has done anything. Has DC done anything? Why? Why have you forsaken me?
I was confused how to spell administrator.
Yeah.
Gotta do it? Yeah. My fault. Yeah.
What are we talking about now?
If it comes up, I'll show you.
What's this?
Flash your plans.
Oh, not you too. No. Why?
Are you doing it?
Oh no. All my friends are like, join us. One of
Well,
us.
since my coworkers were
One
playing it, so I
of
figured,
us.
why not? So now we're.
I gotta go outside to get a signal.
Yeah.
On the next break.
You should ask them to add like antennas or something so we get like something.
I could join it to the Wi-Fi. Okay, so now I'm going to fix the reverse for my domain.
I wish I could actually, get connected to that.
You know, I did it for my son, then he stopped playing like in a week.
Oh,
Good for him.
He has an attention span of a gerbil.
really? He couldn't play a mobile game for more than a week. They're supposed to be addictive.
No, what the trouble is, he's on his TV watching YouTube videos of games, on his tablet watching a different video of a YouTube of a video game and then playing yet another while on his headset talking to his friends.
That's just
Well,
beautiful.
at least he's good at multitasking.
But that has to do something to your attention span.
Yeah. Did you watch Sesame Street when he was a kid? Did that for his ADD tendencies?
I don't know. He never watched that kind of.
No, okay.
Speaking of multitasking, I for one am glad they brought BattleBots on ABC. Because that's a thing. It is glorious.
Okay, my DC is done. I'm moving on to my iSCSI server.
Okay.
Yes, join everything to the domain but the NAT router. I'm gonna.
Why?
Did you just reverse boxes?
Why?
I'm sorry.
Why?
Just move the text boxes? I don't want text boxes for the reverse.
I just did an IP config register DNS, and I created an Active Directory integrated reverse zone for my subnet 192.168.0, and then I did IP config register DNS so it creates a host record for my DC, or a pointer record rather.
I'm still trying to do the. No, I'm trying to get it to install. Still. Like where you're promoting this to a domain controller.
Okay, guys, I'm going to join the domain and change the host name at the same time. Guys, set. Well, what is it? Network.
No, interface. Oh, let's get it. Oh, you want to find out first, right?
No, there's only one interface.
What was that PowerShell command you just did? What did it do?
Remember that big long command you don't want to type?
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
That's the abbreviated version.
I have the entire command written, so I can if I ever screw up like that.
And well, that's what I just did. I missed the fly out. I didn't hit yes. Fly out.
Well,
I feel like he's just like wrong or something because he's still installing the DC.
Mine took a long time.
well, I have all my other machines configured to where once the domain's up, all I have to do is join it.
Guys, is this the right user account?
No, there was that. Don't misfire it, Professor. Don't be like me.
No, the thing is, this keyboard is at the wrong height. You know, if I sit down, it's too high. If I stand up, it's too low.
Have you tried moving it just on top of the actual?
I can't. Why?
What we need is like a mechanical keyboard or something. Because that's what I'm used to typing on.
No, we need that little like the dragon thing where the guy's the headset is talking and he's just like typing it on the computer without doing anything.
No.
It really doesn't work that well.
No, you have to be evolving and going to touchscreen monitors and
Yeah.
My computer's touchscreen. Cool.
Mine's touchscreen too.
I
Doesn't
really,
have any effect.
I really use the touchscreen format of my computer, but it's touchscreen.
Okay, I'm adding my iSCSI target server. Okay, This is, you don't need this one.
Just the target server?
Yeah.
What's it under?
Okay, it's under file and storage services.
Nope, no. Drop that arrow.
Just the target?
Right. We're not doing volume shadowing. We just need this one.
Just the first iSCSI
Yes.
one?
Okay, so this is the new stuff that we're doing. Next, restart if required.
Oh, are you recording this?
Yes.
What's the reason why we cannot join the net router through the...
You could if you wanted to, but for security reasons, I wouldn't. If someone hacks it, then they have access to your domain membership.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's not a good thing.
Because now, here's how we get into it. Traditionally, we go here for most of our stuff, right? This iSCSI initiator is not our target server. This is the client. So to get to iSCSI stuff, go to File and Storage Services, then iSCSI right there. For our first disk, I can click here.
You start the wizard?
Now it's asking, guys, what we're doing is we're going to create virtual hard disks and share them to the network. And the computers that's going to attach to those hard disks will have control of those hard disks. The hard disk that I'm creating here will not be visible on this machine. It's only going to be visible on the machine that I attach that hard disk to. So it's like accessing that hard disk from the network and controlling it from the network. This is going to have a lot of companies, when they do a scenario like this, they put that set of disks on its own separate little network, because it's going to bring down network performance dramatically, because you're accessing that hard disk over the network. So I'm going to, this server is online, I'm going to put it on my C drive. Click next. I'm going to call it the witness disk. I didn't drive it.
Just press next.
Yeah.
You just click the C drive?
No, I just clicked next. That was the default. Because remember, we only have 2 members of our failover cluster. We need something to break the quorum. To get the quorum, rather. Click next. Now listen. If the witness disk doesn't need to be that big, so we're going to make it 1 gig. When we see these disks mounted on the other machines, we don't see the name witness. So if you make them all the same size, it's going to be hard to differentiate them. So we're going to create 2 disks. One for the DCP server and one for our witness disk. I'm going to make the witness disk 1 gig and the DHCP 5 gig. So I'm going to make this 1 gig because this witness disk really isn't going to hold any data. It's just there for the quorum. It can actually vote to whether the cluster is up or down. So if I have a witness disk and 1 member of my failover cluster, my cluster is up. Okay. Guys, I just realized something. I can't go on until my next 2 machines are joined to the domain. So I'm going to leave this at this screen, go finish the next 2 machines and join them to the domain. Because I can't choose who they're going to be.
Mine's joined and I can't do it either.
Yeah, same thing.
So I'm going to join my 2 failover clusters to the domain.
But I know you haven't started.
What rows you gonna install them?
Right now, I don't need to install any row, just join them to the domain.
Yeah, Lars joins the domain for this show.
I'll come back there. This is, what is this machine?
Professor Ferris,
Yep.
can I just use rage.com for all of my domain names except the
As long as someone isn't offended.
Okay.
I'm offended.
Please take the flag
The
down.
big-
I'm offended.
No, I like there's a meme online where there's a very attractive female wearing a Confederate flag bikini. I'm like, this flag offends me, remove it slowly.
Okay. Keep in mind that I'm recording this and it's going on the internet.
And it'll be on YouTube soon.
I don't know. That's not my case.
His name is Alex.
You're gonna get a lot of hate from that one.
My domain name is Rage.
Just think of this. That mic can pick up my voice because we're in the front row. If you were in the back row, you wouldn't be on that thing unless he called you out.
I regret nothing.
So I'm joining my 2 failover cluster members to the domain. What, Jessica?
I can't join anything to a domain.
Okay, do me a favor. Can you ping 192.168.0.2?
Yeah.
Can you do nslookup space, I don't want to say your last name.com. Okay, let me get this going and I'll come back there. I have 2 people in front of you in the back row. Okay. If you do something like that, just practice. Just leave it alone and keep going.
So, for the first workup one with DC, just in general, the first fail. Are we doing internet updates?
I had to get myself, but I gave him
And the first one comes good. Did you create a point of record for something? Professor Ferris?
I created a pointer record for my DC only because when I created my reverse, my DC was already booted and I didn't want to feel like rebooting my DC. So I did ipconfig register DNS, and that will create a pointer record for that DC. All other machines, I don't need to do that for because they're going to boot up after my reverse is created.
If the command space the
IP config / first space / register DNS.
everything.
Okay, I'm going to pause this for a minute. I just want to show you on my DC.
So should I go do it the wizard and do it later?
You're not going to be able to do it if you're not joined to the domain. You're going to have authentication issues. That's the problem you'll run into.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, if you try to do this not joined to the domain, you'll have authentication issues trying to attach to that disk. So I'm going to go to DC, go to DNS, and when I go into my reverse, I will now see I have point records for all the machines joined to the domain and host records for those machines as well. So I'm going back to my iSCSI target server. Now I've created a hard disk. That was the first part of the wizard. Now I'm going to create a target. This is the people I'm allowing to, this is the machines I'm allowing to use that hard disk. Oh wait, I want to wait for, I'm missing people. So we've already created a virtual disk that we're going to share to other computers. The target is the machine that is going to attach to that disk. I can have one target with several machines in it. I don't have to create a new target for every machine. So basically, I'm going to create one target for all the members of that cluster. So if I had 3 clusters, I could create 3 targets, one for each.
Now, this is for the failover cluster. This is like a file server that we failover to, or is this an actual server?
This is a service that you install other services on. So if I had the failover cluster set up and then I clustered DHCP,
Okay.
then if one machine fails, the DHCP will jump up on the other machine. And maintain all the lease records and all that. Because remember, all the DHCP data will be stored on this shared disk.
Do we have to have 2 GHC machines, or will it
Yes.
just the FOCs?
I will have the failover cluster. I haven't gotten to that point
Okay.
yet. And the DHCPs installed on both those machines.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create this new target. And it's going to be target 01. I could give this name based on the cluster that's going to use it. I only have one cluster. And guys, I'm going to add my 2 servers. The easiest way to do this is just type the names and hit OK. Don't click browse. I just find it easy. Just hit it, and it will come up with this IQN number. I'm going to click OK, and it should find the IQN number. If you're joined to the domain, then CS01 VM5.
Professor?
Yes.
What did you put the name before?
I'm sorry?
After the target name and access?
I just click add and added both servers.
The name there is target 01.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Click next.
Asking for network credentials from all the other domains.
Okay, you might be joined to the domain, but if you sign in as a domain admin. Guys, if you really want this to be secure, you can have some sort of authentication process here. I'm not going to do that right now.
You're searching for the
Next.
Professor, what do you do at the add instructor ID indicator?
I'm gonna click create. I'm gonna come back to you. I don't know what.
You don't enable shop just.
Yeah. Click add and add the two servers. Type your server name.
I guess.
FOC1 and FOC2, whatever your names are.
Next.
Okay. So now I'm going to create another disk that I want to share for my DHCP servers. Look, I don't have that link here anymore that I clicked the first time. So I'm going to create a new iSCSI virtual disk.
Sorry, Professor, where do we go? That.
Task, new iSCSI virtual disk. Again, it's going to be on this machine that's not clustered, on my C drive. Guys, I did try this. You cannot put the iSCSI target server on a member of the FOC or on one of the failover cluster members. Maybe for another failover cluster, yes, but for if it's going to use that disk, you can't put it on. So it has to be on a separate machine.
How did you get to that screen?
And I'm going to call this DHCP. Guys, as a rule of thumb, this is something I do. I like to name my disk based on the service that's going to use them once I get in my failover cluster. Again, this name is not viewable in the failover cluster. It'll be just a 5 gig disk. Click next. I'm going to make this 5 gigs. Now, I could make a new target, but I don't need to. It's the same cluster. So I'll use the same target that I already created. Create. Guys, if these were on real machines, I would do one more disk. That was massive. For a virtual machine. But I'm not going to go there just yet. Click close. And I'm going to jump over to one of my failover cluster members. Now to grab that hard disk, there's nothing I need to install. Already there is a service there called iSCSI Initiator. It is not running. The first time we go into it, it's going to prompt us, would you like us to start it and have it start automatically? And we'll say yes. So I'm going to go to Tools, iSCSI Initiator. Would you like this to run and start automatically? Yes. Who is my iSCSI target server?
3.
Type your name there and take quick connect. And you should find your target.
Got it. It's done.
CS02 VM3. Once you're connected to it, go over to Volume and Devices. And click Auto Configure. It'll find the 2 disks. Volume and Devices and Auto Configure.
Volume devices.
I'm going to click OK. Do it again on the other machine. Do the same exact thing on the other machine. Make sure both machines can attach to those disks.
Okay, Professor, once you combine with devices on the first one, is there anything else you need to do?
Click OK.
Okay.
Yep, OK.
And then,
Do it again on the other machine.
got it.
Oh, did you click auto configure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I initially I closed the window before hitting volume of devices, because I was looking for the actual volume screen. I went back and just did it from there.
Okay. Now here's the issue we're going to have. Only one machine can have those disks at a time. Who currently has the disk? No, only one machine can mount it. Remember, it's a failover cluster. If the disk is attached to here, and this machine goes down, it'll automatically jump to here. I mean, like in half a second.
I think it would go to the last one you configured.
It's hard to say. Instead of searching through each of them to try to find who has the disk, I'm going to disconnect. I want to be over here when I say this. Instead of trying to figure out which machine has the disk attached, because remember, I need to format these disks, create partitions, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to disconnect the network card on this machine so I know the disks are on the first failover cluster member. So I'm just going to go to local server. Go to the network card and just disable it temporarily till I get these disks formatted. So by doing this, I know this is going to be on the first failover cluster machine. Because they jump around so much, it's hard to try to format it while they're jumping around. So I'm going to go on the first machine.
FOC1.
Right. Go to disk management. Here's why I changed the size. Which one is my witness disk?
1 gig.
Who's my? Are they online?
Nope.
Bring them online, initiate them, format them NTFS, both of them. The label for this, give it witness. The label for this, give it DHCP.
Would it show up on the network DHCP now?
It's not going to be on the network. It's as if this disk was attached to this machine, physically installed on this machine. Bring it online. Initialize it. We can leave it GPT. Just a new simple volume, nothing fancy. Online, initiate, format, label. Online, initiate.
Did you, for the file label, you changed it to witness, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Once I'm done with that, guys, go back and re-enable your network on here. I'm going to go to disk management. Do they show up here? Yes. Are they attached? Yes. Don't make them online here. There's something called, you ever notice that if you go to a shared network drive, if someone has a Word document open, you try to open it, you can only open it in read-only mode? Well, if we try to open them both up, we're going to get all kind of locking issues. Both machines can attach to the storage at the same time. We'll get locking issues. When this, because it's already attached here, it's just offline. When this goes down, these become online. And anything that any service that was running through the failover cluster will be able to write to that disk. Okay, I'm going to go around and answer questions. Will you got your issues resolved?
Professor, after I did that, optimize
no, on two.
Okay,
When you go enable the what do you do? You enable the front? All right, now go and the Spanish?
give the label of. Show me where you're at.
I'm the whole totally messed up. I'm create DHCP. The first one is target 5. I put both of them into one.
That's okay.
No, don't put them on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yes. I mean, you can do it and then Brian will come over and be like, what the heck did you do?
No, mine is already.
You can do the daily place for everyone else.
Yeah, that is not what I want to do. Shut up. Shut up. Dang Apple products.
I'm going to introduce you.
I'm recording.
Yeah, I know that. My phone would flipped out on me. Sorry, Professor.
Okay. None of you guys know Juan, because every time he had a phone call, he couldn't work his phone. He couldn't shut off the ringer to save his life. He had to leave the classroom. Okay, so guys, they're attached to both machines. Again, they're attached to both the machines, but they're going to be offline. Now, I could create a disk like this, say 100 gigs big. Attach them just like I did, and then once I have it attached, I can convert that to online shared cluster storage, so they're attached both at the same time. I can't do that until we have real machines. So I got to skip that part for right now. Shared cluster storage. I would do the same thing and create shared cluster storage. And when I create a virtual machine, I would put the virtual hard disk on that shared cluster storage. So when a virtual machine went down, they would both be attached to the same virtual hard disk on that virtual hard disk. If we did it right now, it would be nesting a virtual hard disk inside a virtual hard disk inside of a virtual hard disk. And that's just a recipe for failure. So right now, guys, here, let's focus. So what we need to do now is install failover cluster and DHCP on both these machines. Okay? So every service that I'm going to cluster, I need to install that service in addition to failover cluster on both machines. So, guys, if you just want to look, if you go into your file manager, I have a D drive and an E drive. If I go to the other machine, if I go to the other machine, only the here. What would happen if I went to this machine that held the disk and disabled the network card?
It jumped to the FOC2.
Right. We can test that. Sometimes you have to refresh this. Sometimes you have to close it out.
Did you re-enable your network on there too?
Yeah, I did. It's not going to do this just to make me look stupid.
Do you have to use the failover cluster wizard though to set up a failover cluster after you initialize the iSCSI?
I don't think so. I think it should. We'll see. I'm gonna re-enable this. I don't think you need that. I think it should be able to grab that disk. Okay. And the disks are still here. So I'm going to go to Add Remove Roles and Features and DHCP here. Guys, and this is the first time we've ever done this. We're installing a role at the same time as we're installing a feature. Failover cluster is a feature. So install the DHCP role and the failover clustering feature.
And we're doing this on both machines?
And we're doing this on both machines.
Both, what machine?
Both failover cluster.
The name of the machines are.
FOC1, FOC2.
Okay, thank you.
So everyone knows what FOC stands for.
He needs help.
Broke it.
We connect right here. Here, Nick.
Yeah, you'd like to think that would work.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's even great.
It's under the teachers. Oh,
In that, this one's literally named.
Okay, let's go. Test the circle.
That is the server name. I named them after their rules. So if I do it like that, it doesn't do it.
Okay, show me, are you signing in as a new? Yes. It didn't work on the first machine?
This is the iSCSI server. That's the physical name of this one.
Okay. No, I don't want to do this one, I want to do this one, I fell over, I suppose this. I should be on one of the fell over clusters.
So that's good, and that they're.
Good, go with the fell over cluster. Because the reason it's not going to find it is because that server itself is not part of the target.
That's what I did. Now I should be able
Go to volume of devices. Do it to the other machine. Guys, complete this wizard
On both machines?
on both machines. Guys, do not configure DHCP outside of the cluster. We'll get there. Do not, other than that, other than what we just did, don't configure the, yeah, I want you to complete the installation, but don't configure it. While that's installing, guys, I'm going to go back to my iSCSI target server and look at my iSCSI target. And want to see if those disks are connected, which we know they are. I'm going to hit refresh. Yeah, and they're connected. Guys, I could force a certain machine to attach to it. I just think it's easier just to disable the NIC.
Ian wants to configure either of them or just the second one?
Oh.
No.
I want you to complete that task right there where your screen cut. Click that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my first failover cluster. And I'm going to configure my failover cluster. Guys, there's one checkbox that is here by default. Normally that would be fine if we could leave it alone. But I want to uncheck it now. I want to show you how to manually choose the hard disk for your quorum. So don't go through autopilot. There's something I want you to uncheck. Right. We got to validate. Guys, here's the part I'm worried about. I don't know if it's going to validate on a virtual machine. This might be the end of the lab. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to click Validate Configuration. I'm going to type both servers in. We'll test it. It's going to see if this machine is sufficient enough to run the cluster. CS01 VM 4 CS01 VM 5. Run all tests.
DS/VM5 or?
Okay, guys, when it's successful, it will say fail over at the top. Don't see fail and just say it didn't work.
Did you start?
All tests.
No, CS?
Both servers.
Okay. Then add or? Yes.
How are you supposed to set up a failover cluster without disk? That's in the first two chapters of it. Yes. Go back. Oh no, you got. No, we are doing. We only need one mail. Just doing the remote. I don't need to go to the other machine.
It was the same thing with the previous book. I know the previous book where basically the last chapter was the chapter you used the first one.
What are we doing for the?
I got a little while ago.
Like.
Yeah, I'll type in those right there.
Yeah, I got that about.
You don't need to click browse. Just click X. Have fun. You have to-
All the validation.
You want 04 now?
Even if you just remove.
Tell me something that I
You said do this on both machines.
Close it out and verify. Uninstall the That's uninstalled.
Yeah.
Go scroll. Okay, guys, this is what we're looking for. No, don't see fail. Okay, so was mine successful? Yes. Did I have some warnings? Yeah. Ultimately, we're not in the best environment for this, but we're just going to go. Did someone call me? Okay, yes.
Exactly.
I don't know how you got. I don't know how you did that. You got the management tool, but you didn't get the actual.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, this is not a suitable environment for clustering.
Okay. Well, you got to tell me what is not suitable. That's I think your chief development question.
All my storage.
We got it.
Okay, that's fine. You gotta make sure your disc goes on. No, press cancel. You don't wanna run on buttons.
That's what I asked you. You said yes.
Well, I mean, yes, from this one wizard. Okay, guys, one other thing. I ran this on the machines where the discs were attached. I'm running it on both servers from this one wizard. I don't need to go to the other server. What does this do right now if I leave this checked? It's going to launch the next wizard, which is to create the cluster. Okay? Yeah. Well, if you didn't do it, if you didn't leave that checked, just click the next one later. Okay, guys, again, I had some warnings. Guys, it's probably IPs. Yeah. There's something, I'm sure we can resolve that, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to start my cluster.
So do we check it or uncheck it?
Leave it checked, so it starts the next wizard. Cluster name. This is going to be cluster 01. Guys, I like to have the number match my target. You might have a cluster 02, a cluster 03. Guys, what's going to happen right now is going to create a virtual computer in my computer container inside of Active Directory uses in computers. So I'm going to have a new computer called cluster 01. What is the IP for that computer? I'm going to jump up. Of course, guys, you need to give it an IP appropriate for your network. I'm going to jump up to 100. Maybe not. That will be the IP for that virtual computer called cluster 01.
It could be 50, it could be 75.
Any IP, just make sure you're not passing out through your DHCP. Okay. Guys, here's the check I want you to make sure you uncheck. I don't want you to throw in all of the available storage, because what will happen is it won't know. It's going to grab the first disk it sees. That might be the DHCP, that might be the witness disk. I don't want to add my DHCP disk as my witness disk. So I'm going to uncheck this. So if I only had one disk, let it go. If you have multiple disks, it's random which one it grabs. So I'm going to uncheck this box.
What does that say?
Add all eligible storage to the cluster. I'm going to manually add the disk. So I want to make sure I'm recording. Click next. Well, at least I was actually able to get through the cluster and videotape it. Finish. Guys, I'm going to go to my DC while that's all getting settled. I want to show you my new computer account. You don't have to do this. You can just take my word on it that it'll be there. There's my computer account.
And
In my cluster.
Active directory using computers?
Yep. Go to computers, and there's my cluster computer account. So I'm going to go back to my cluster manager, and I'm going to right click, and this is kind of weird.
More actions?
More actions. Configure cluster quorum settings.
So,
And I think I did this too early. Okay, press cancel. I was testing you, none of you were.
well, we never
Caught
know.
it. Okay. That's no excuse. So I'm going to add disk. Guys, I need to bring in my disk.
How? What do you mean?
Sorry, I went down to storage, disk, add disk. Click OK. Yeah, both of them.
So down, or drop down that one. Yes. Add both.
Add both. Guys, disk number 1 is my witness. Just so I know, disk number 1 is my witness. I want to scroll over.
Yeah, both disks? Yes. Professor Ferris?
Alex Gutman?
Do you not really need to like rename those disks because you know by the size what they're called?
I think that the person coming after you trying to support this system would bless you if you rename the disk. I'm sure they would do some other things. They would have some other words to describe you if you didn't rename those disks.
Professor, my number 2 is the witness, and my number 1 is the HCP.
Good. As long as you know, it's random. That's why I don't want to use that little checkbox in the wizard to have us decide. I want control over which disk is which.
Couldn't you import them one at a time and then it would automatically?
That checkbox imports them both.
No, but how we just did the add disk, one at a time? So that-
Yes, if you want to keep going back and forth between 2 different servers. Uncheck a box here. Add the disk. So now, guys, my disks are added. I'm going to highlight my cluster, go to More Actions, and Configure Cluster Quorum Settings. Click Next. This Use Default Quorum Settings works pretty well, but I'm just going to select. I'm going to choose this one. I always see good results with the center one. I'm going to configure a quorum disk, a witness disk. And which disk was mine? Right.
I'm sorry, when you select form configuration, use default or?
The top one.
Okay.
Mine was disk 1.
Your disk 1 was labeled different than the name of the disk. Your disk number and your disk and your name are backwards.
Yeah.
Good. I was testing you. Good job. Right there. Guys, you can expand it and look at the size. You know, again, with the size helps quite a bit if you make them different sizes. Yes, I want to get the 1 gig.
Yeah, but for some people, the first disc is actually the first disc.
Whatever that is. Whatever your witness disc is.
And then hit finish.
Yeah. Her discs are failing. They see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And then you want to select the one that's in one kit, so it can expand it here. No, it's expanded right there. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not.
So you got your witness.
That's why you're having problems bringing them online, because they're only attached to one member of the server. Only one member of the cluster. It's not going to bring them online if only one member can see it. Now let's go back to the other machine. It's not going to allow you to add disks to one member, only one member. Everything needs to be able to access it. Okay, so guys, I'm going to I want to show you something. I could go to disk and see that available storage. If I were real machines, I could then throw those on clustered shared storage. That would make them part of the C drive on both machines. So I would have a folder called clustered shared storage, and it would kind of, you ever mount a directory by, you ever mount a hard disk by a folder name as opposed to a drive letter? You know how it looks kind of weird? you would have one of those. It would be like a kernel redirect or a read parse point. When you went to that folder, it would redirect you across the network to the shared storage. So we have this ability, we just can't do this right now. So right now, I'm going to go to add a role.
Still on the same cluster?
Yeah, I'm on, I don't care which cluster member you're on because you're doing this to the cluster. Again, I can't add a role. I can right now go through this wizard and go through the DHCP wizard. If I didn't have DHCP installed, nothing would happen. So I need DHCP installed on both machines already, just not configured. Again, if we were on real machines, I could create new virtual machines. So, configure role. Not every service is clusterable, but here's the ones that are. They have this generic application or generic service, a Hyper-V broker. We'll get into that later. But right now I'm just going to DHCP. You know, again, I could always cluster a virtual server that has some role on it that it can't be clustered. Click next. Guys, we're limited to 15 characters, so try to be short. DHCP cluster 01. Again, this is going to create another computer account called DHCP cluster 01. And I'm going to put that as 101. No. Click next. Guys, I'm not going to go to my DC. Just take my word on it and we'll create another virtual computer. And what disk do I want to add? In a real production environment, you might have 30 disks there. You know. Now again, those virtual hard disks really should be on some sort of disk array, hardware disk array with a fiber channel backing on its own separate fiber channel network. Just because, you know, speed-wise.
Burn the network that's connected to that is outside of the.
That's okay. That's all that network does. That's all the purpose of that whole network is just to supply these disks.
Where would that be? Would it be in the non-militarized zone, or would that be?
No, it's going to be in a separate network by itself. It's not routable. There's no way to get to that network other than through that fiber channel switch.
Wait, so there has to be some way you interact.
Well, no, I'm connecting to that hard disk remotely through this server. That server is connecting to that hard disk through that private network. Okay.
Sounds like you got a little nest of servers now.
Right. So, so basically, guys, on my iSCSI target server, iSCSI target server, I have another network that has just a bunch of disk. And then I'm going to share that out somehow to my fellow cluster members. Hopefully that network right there is only for these disks. That's all that network is for. This is going to be maybe a fiber channel to this server. You know, I might have 2 iSCSI target servers, both attached to those disks. If this one goes down, this one will handle the load. Okay, so guys, is this service up and running?
Said so.
Every once in a while, guys, it doesn't save the information. Guys, I'm going to first look at who currently owns this role. I'm going to go look and see who owns the disk too. So I'm going to go to the disk. So I'm very lucky that both are owned by the same machine. I could force it. I can uncheck it so it goes into one machine so I can configure this, and then I can switch the role to another node. It's good to have the disk and the service on the same machine. And I'm going to right click and manage it. Sometimes it doesn't stick. If both the service and the disk on the same machine, I would actually feel comfortable enough to go to tools and just use the normal DHCP management feature. Okay, but I'm going to try to do it here. It's this one thing is kind of flaky.
So you manage DHCP server?
Okay, yeah, it actually did flake out on me. Did it flake out on anyone else? Okay. Guys, I did not invent this.
Look at the information. It says problem accessing client access feature.
Okay, guys, I did it again right here. Highlight that. Do it again. It showed up.
Oh, okay.
Look. Highlight it. Click over here. It showed up.
I still have. It still doesn't show.
Okay. For those people it's not showing up for, go to Tools, DHCP, as long as you're on the machine that holds the disk and the service. Both. If you only hold one item, get everything moved over to that one item.
Oh, mine all are moved onto the VM5 instead of the VM4.
You should be able to manage it remotely, but if you can't, just jump over to VM5 and right click it in.
If I'm the same, should I do the same thing then?
Yeah, guys, I'm going to create a fake scope. Guys, I don't care what you call it. We're almost done here, guys.
So, you see to go over to VM5 then?
Why is it not? And
Guys, I'm not going to configure the other options. Okay. Now, guys, I'm in the failover cluster right now. What would happen if I want to just look at it outside the failover cluster? It shows me the scope there. I'm going to go to the other machine. Remember, this machine doesn't hold the role. It's not configured. Be careful if you go and do it on a machine that doesn't hold the role, you could mess everything up and wipe all your settings out. So be very careful. This machine currently doesn't hold the role, so if I go outside the failover cluster and try to look at that service, it's not going to work. But if I go to the failover cluster that does hold the role and go outside, it does appear to be there. But it's really not there. Remember, try to avoid going to tools and managing any service as part of the failover cluster, it's always best to go inside of the failover cluster to manage the service. You could wipe things out. Guys, also, I want to show you something else. So if I go to the DHCP folder, on the DHCP disk, there's all my data. Remember, both machines can access this disk. So if this member of the server goes down, the other member of the cluster will pick up and read this data. So any leases that you've passed out or any other information that's there, it should be able to read it.
And these are static, the two failover servers?
I'm sorry?
And these two failover servers, they're statically linked to each other?
Yeah, they're on the same. Remember, we target with both machines for the disk, and when we created the failover cluster, we chose both members, so they're connected at multiple levels. They're both sharing the same disk. They're both part of the failover cluster. So, guys, on this failover cluster, I'm going to send it over to the other node. I'm going to send it over to 5. So it's pending for a second. I'm going to go look at it from 5.
Send it over?
Go to move, select node.
Oh, under oh.
So who currently owns it now? 5 owns it. I'm going to go look at storage.
I mean, I created that. 00601.
Look at that. Did I move that disk over? No, when you move that roll over, it will try to carry the disk with it, if possible. So when I move the node over, it grabbed the disk as well. So I'm going to take node 5 offline. I'm going to drain this so it'll force it over to the other machine. So now who owns that roll? 4. So I'm going to unpause that node again. If I say fail rolls back, that means bring them back to the server if I had them. Okay, guys, we want to do this again on real machines once I get our network up and running. But the other thing we're going to virtualize is we're going to virtualize a virtual machine. We're going to cluster a virtual machine. I want a machine running with whatever you want to install on it. On this member of the cluster, I want you to fail it over to this member. So you should be able to move a virtual machine between 2 members instantly.
So we can install another virtual machines in here?
I'm sorry?
It wouldn't work if you installed.
I can't install Hyper-V on a virtualized machine. Because remember, Hyper-V requires that feature turn on in the kernel. This is a virtual kernel, so you can't turn that feature on. Okay, guys, let's stop here, and